I gotta count the joy, ain't no taking it from me. Brothers by my side, can't be done by my lonely. Embracing everything what the Lord got for me. Through the battles and the trials, I'm just telling my story. I gotta count the joy, ain't no taking it from me. Brothers by my side, can't be done by my lonely. Embracing everything what the Lord got for me. Through the battles and the trials, I'm just telling my story. I'm just telling my story.
They say sometimes you gotta smile when you count the joy, cause truthfully nothing amounts to joy. We veterans on battlefields where we survived all of the plots employed. Live to arise in early morning and speak life to boys. The small things they say it really matter. Recovering from my letdowns and all the dreams that were shattered. Lost it all and got it back, that's what we call living. Meditate on His compassion, give the offer of thanksgiving. It's brick by brick, it's what it's gonna take to build this building. And every effort's present when we represent for children. Cause we ain't have a God or an image or a script. We was young and hostile and we was riding with a grip. My pops told me it's a price to pay. I counted joy, he saved my life today. No matter what been thrown my way, I'm always keeping faith. To obtain this crown, we gotta run this race. So humbly, we approach the throne of grace.
I gotta count the joy, ain't no taking it from me. Brothers by my side, can't be done by my lonely. Embracing everything what the Lord got for me. Through the battles and the trials, I'm just telling my story. I gotta count the joy, ain't no taking it from me. Brothers by my side, can't be done by my lonely. Embracing everything what the Lord got for me. Through the battles and the trials, I'm just telling my story. I'm just telling my story. Where I'm from, niggas die before diplomas. This body being lent, we not the owners. Devil want your soul, but it's the Lord that's in control. Now I shine through the struggle, that's the light they can't hold. I turn my tears into trophies and these scars full of gold. He directed all my steps, no compass, just faith. But I'm hungry for the knowledge, all I do is scrape plates. And every L is tuition, I'm just learning to count the joy. Invest in my peace because this life be so heavy. It ain't built for the weak, I'm still climbing but I'm higher than my old views. You can't believe them lies and everything they told you. I eat the whole roll, I call it soul food. Gotta count the joy, you can't count the hurt. I die daily, a new man risen from the dirt. I put the Lord first, you better know your worth. Cause some spend their life, but they stay the same. These days I smell like a diamond. Gotta count the joy, ain't no taking it from me. Brothers by my side, can't be done by my lonely. Embracing everything what the Lord got for me. Through the battles and the trials, I'm just telling my story. Gotta count the joy, ain't no taking it from me. Brothers by my side, can't be done by my lonely. Embracing everything what the Lord got for me. Through the battles and the trials, I'm just telling my story. I'm just telling my story.
You facing the fire and you feeling the heat. Count it all joy, take a seat, the Most High is undefeated, my brethren. The scripture's the truth and not a myth. Trials ain't hard, my God, but it comes with a gift. The test of your faith, you gotta stand up and grow. Don't let the pressure take over, just let the spirit flow. It's an opportunity, not a setback. Understand? James 1 verse 2, that's the Father's command. Every tribulation's a setup for a praise. You unlocking new levels in these perilous days. The enemy brain struggle, but God bringing strength. Dear Lord, I pray that my soul that you keep. So when troubles get heavy, stand firm in your spot. It's refining you to gold. Now look what you got. Embrace the affliction. Keep your mind on the goal. Let patience have a perfect work. Watch God save your soul.
curses, through these hardships, through the slavery, captivity. We've been through it all, but we still stand tall. 'Cause we know that one day we'll be in our land. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12
Psalm 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Most High will deliver us from them all. Don't that sound familiar? Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not unto thine own understanding. Acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he shall direct thy path. He shall direct thy path, and he shall direct thy path. Don't that sound familiar?
12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. 12 tribes. We are the Israelites. We are the chosen people. Through these curses, through these hardships, through the slavery, captivity. We've been through it all, but we still stand tall. 'Cause we know that one day we'll be in our land. 12 tribes.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from an inmate at Florida Correctional Institution. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
What's good with it, Kang? Hey, man, what's good, bro? How you feeling, man? Man, I'm alright. How you doing in there, Kang? I'm fucked up right now, bro. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Man, you know, your time is coming. Your time is coming, man. You just gotta be patient, you know? I hear you, bro. It's just hard, bro. I'm going through so much up in here, man. Niggas trying to kill me in here, man. Man, you know, one thing I'll say, man, you just gotta pray to the Lord, man, and ask the Lord to guide you, you know, because it's getting real in these last days, you know? Yeah, man, I'm gonna try that, man. I've been chopping it up with some of these Israelite brothers in here, man. They been keeping my spirits up.
No complaining, level up and choose life then. When you know better, you gotta do right then. Pressure make diamonds shining on sight then. Trying to dim your light, battle tested for the fight then. When you fall, you get right back up. Renew your mind and break off those cuffs. Had to make do when you didn't have enough. You gotta choose life, embracing what's tough, yeah.
All the life moments, either this or that. Gotta choose. You can make a home and be a missing hat. Claim the throne to play with chrome, going click and clack. Ain't no kicking back, the niggas going tit for tat. It took my cousin's life, but they ain't gon' give it back. He was the godchild, used to rap and call him scrap. Ain't no question if you flexing, he ain't go for that. So how you think that shaped my mind to grow up knowing that? Ain't no whole rap, nigga, nah, slow for that. Just to keep my focus where it's hopeful at. That's why I'm preaching on the corners where the dope is at. I had to go through that to teach you how to cope with that. We all got a time, we don't never know exact. We don't fear find a moment even knowing that. But choose life is a blessing, that's a potent fact. Relieving stress, it's like a present, go and open that.
No complaining, level up and choose life then. When you know better, you gotta do right then. Pressure make diamonds shining on sight then. Trying to dim your light, battle tested for the fight then. When you fall, you get right back up, yeah. When Renew your mind and break off those cuffs. Had to make do when you didn't have enough. You gotta choose life, embracing what's tough, yeah.
How could it happen that we suffer in a strange land? This resurrection is eternal, this the game plan. So many people wish that I would stay the same man. Lord, give me strength so that I can help the lame stand. I choose life, that's every time, even in the face of death. This revolution got us clocked and that's on every step. I choose life cause this the way we know it's always been. They drop the plow, them niggas nerves, you better not follow them. For me and mine, we made our choices to the end of days. This life we live will make us pay for walking crooked ways. And when it's over, crown my head with this the other side. Cause I'll be healed of all my pain from watching loved ones die. Jerusalem, we dropped the ball. It's every scheme that's put in motion meant for shaking us. High exalted warriors, protectors of the weak. Dry your eye, God's children, cause this earth is for the meek.
No complaining, level up and choose life, yeah. When you know better, you gotta do right, yeah. Pressure make diamonds shining on sight, yeah. Trying to dim your light, battle tested for the fight, yeah. When you fall, you get right back up. Renew your mind and break off those cuffs. Had to make do when you didn't have enough. You gotta choose life, embracing what's tough, yeah.
All right. Shalom to everyone. You guys see the new tracks we have coming out. Shout out to sis Shira for the singing. It's beautiful to see brothers and sisters put their talents together for the good use, and everybody can listen to the voices and, you know, the lyricism and, you know, the articulation of music, you know, what we're capable of doing and what we're capable of putting forth. So, you know, shout out to the sister for, you know, using her voice and putting it to the track. What we got here? Shalom again to those coming in. Yeah, on the bar, sis. So all of you see the title to the class, the overview of 1 Samuel. All of you should remember it was last year. Definitely heavy on the testing, the quizzing, the curveball questions. You guys, I know you guys remember that. The review, the scoring, just everything we've gone into pertaining to 1 Samuel. You know, our history is important because it is the very foundation off of which we begin to understand the roots and the beginning of our nation and how we came about and into being as the nation of Israel, being God's chosen people, you know, from our forefathers and predecessors being Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Lord has had to constantly reiterate that because he's the God that was over our forefathers, and unto Abraham, it was promised unto his descendants that we would inherit the land that was Canaan, and then it became, you know, the nation of Israel. So, yes, sir. Shalom to the good brother Ganan. Yeah, man, you know, those classes were no joke. But the thing with that is that the layout of the classes, it was easy to comprehend and understand because it's just a follow through and it's just a story. So the easy part about 1 Samuel was that because it's chronological history that's entirely in order, it's easy to understand, though it was a lot of events occurring and happening from all the chapters and everything that was being gone into, and that was being reviewed and read throughout all of the classes. So, you know, we've gone into 3 chapters at once. I believe at one point in class it was 4. I believe it was in the 20 chapters. So, shalom to the good brother Panah. Shalom. And, you know, continuing throughout the classes, it was easy for the most part, because it's just a chronological line and a sequence of events. And it's easy because it's just follow through after everything is being gone into with all of the sequential chapters in the following and the following and the following. So tonight's class is just going to be the overview on it. It's the presentation I gave last year. But what I want to help everyone understand is that we are going to get back into those classes, and I do and most definitely will resume the testing and the quizzing, just as we did with First Samuel. And, you know, essentially to go within, you know, at a later future date and time, Kings and Chronicles, because the history there between both kingdoms is it can be very difficult to understand, especially because it's split. So the prophets have to record and have to scribe things from two different rival kingdoms, and more importantly, what's going on, not just within our nation, but what's going on outside that we have to also be paying attention to. So we have to realize and remember and understand about First Samuel is that it's named after Samuel of the Levitic line, and he was trained underneath the high priest Eli, who was, you could say, judges. We've had the judges from the book of Judges that were reigning and leading the children of Israel. And then you had the book of Ruth, which occurs at the latter point, and then you get First Samuel. You could say Eli and Samuel were the last judges, because after Samuel and the people wanting, again, we've gone into a king in First Samuel chapter 8. That's when the monarchy occurring at that point. I just froze. I don't know why that happened. What ended up happening from that point then is we have the monarchy period, and we've covered everything that's occurred and what we went into with all of the classes with First Samuel. So what we're going to do tonight is just get into the presentation of things, to kind of review everything that had happened and had taken place. All right. And, you know, I want to share with everyone what helped me actually begin reading into the history of the scriptures was I was reading The 13th Tribe by Arthur Kessler, a Jewish historian, if I may say, and he was actually going into Israel's history, and he mentioned Saul being the king over Israel. And it perplexed me because I never knew anything about Saul prior to reading that book. And then it made me realize that I needed to go into the history of the scriptures. And that's when I realized Saul's actually the first king over Israel. David was just the one to replace him and the one that would be favored. And of course, the one whose line our savior would come from, being Yahawashi. And that's what really helped me to unlock and unfold the zealousness of understanding our history, so that way we're able to really concretely understand, or help me understand at the time, the foundation of the scriptures and what we really should be reading. You know, we have these books, but, you know, as not just the first 5, you have to go into the canonical history of what occurred and took place, because those events are important, because it leads to all of the sequential names and the follow-up events that we read about within the Bible, right? So I have it here. Give me a second. Let me make sure. All right. So share screen, slides. And all right. So establishing the Davidic kingdom, don't mind the cartoonish line. Put the emoji there, and my presentation on my phone, it came out different. This was Wednesday, going on 2 years now, on March 13th. I covered it, 2 Samuel, the first and second chapters. All right, so recollection of 1 Samuel will be the overview again tonight. So remember, the people asked for a king, rejecting Yahweh, with the choice of a new leader being chosen, falling upon Saul, the son of Kish. Remember, Benjamin is the baby of the tribes and was chosen out of the smallest families. Particularly, Saul was chosen, being the son of Kish, out of the smallest families of the tribe of Benjamin, particularly. Now, Saul is chosen specifically for leading Israel in battle against our enemies and anointed as a military commander. That was a question, if you guys remember that, because to be king, we remember Genesis 49 with Judah particularly, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, which means the kingship and the rulership comes particularly from the tribe of Judah. It is the head tribe. Of all tribes, Judah numbers the most populous above the rest of the 11. So we have to remember Judah is the head tribe. Saul was chosen as a military commander because politically and lawfully, he did not very much do much pertaining to establishing righteousness amongst the Israelite nation. It wasn't until David came along that then we see and begin to see the prosperity of the nation of Israel underneath his leadership. So Saul was originally chosen as a military commander, but took the position of king. We know Saul's mistakes, sins, and continual errors get the kingdom discontinued and rented from him by the Most High through Samuel's prophecy. We remember the most grievous thing Saul did was not utterly destroying the Amalekites in 1 Samuel chapter 15. And going into the Hebrew, it's actually said 7 times that you're supposed to wipe them out and destroy them. And remember, even according to the law in Deuteronomy, they were in the wait for us to slay us from us passing through up out of Egypt. David is eventually chosen and anointed amongst his brethren to be the next king. David slays Goliath, who is the champion of the Philistines in battle, and becomes Saul's armor bearer. The souls of Jonathan and David become knit together, which means they grow a close bond, which is a platonic relationship. It is being close and very affable towards someone, but it is respectful in nature and not so much as, we aren't the Greeks, per se. I'll put it that way. We're not the Greeks. And they became great friends. They were also brother-in-laws. So Jonathan is literally a bigger brother to David because David was given Michal, Saul's daughter, after giving him the 200 Philistine heads. Saul puts David as general of the entire Israelite army and eventually becomes jealous of praises sung to him because of the countless military successes he has leading the children of Israel in battle. We remember that the Lord was with him every which step of the way. The jealousy gets the best of Saul and eventually seeks to kill David. The conflict with David leads him on the run, but not without Saul killing innocent people he feels are in his way of his delirious, vengeful path. We know about the priests at Nob that were all slain and killed by Doeg the Edomite. Remember, Doeg was there when David had gone to the high priest to get the showbed for him and his men, and he took Goliath's staff, which was his waver's beam, and the Edomite was there pretty much not paying attention to what was going on, but paying attention to what was going on. And then from that point, then and there, he reports to Saul that David came, got the showbread, took the sword, which makes it paint the picture as he's getting ready and prepared to go after Saul and kill him, when really it's just in self-defense, but because Saul is so full of hatred, and full of, wrath to go out and kill David due to jealousy and the evil spirit that the Lord put upon him, he doesn't see it that way, and of course has Doeg the Edomite kill off the entire city of priests at Nob, and Abiathar was the only one of his sons that was able to escape. So Saul has the entire city of priests killed at Nob by the hand of Doeg the Edomite he commanded. Abiathar, Ahimelech's son, joins David. David, through the Urim and the Thummim, constantly inquires of the Most High's help. Abiathar is a priest, which means he went unto the priest to inquire about what it is that he should do. David is now on the run at this point, with Saul continually pursuing after David. David is a fugitive. We remember David is a stranger to his brethren at this point, as he said. David is now dwelling and living amongst the Philistines, and then being, of course, at this time, since the beginning of First Samuel, and even through the book of Judges, were, at times fluctuated, but now at this point within First Samuel are our number one enemies. They're literally to the west to us, and I'm going to show that on the map later on in the presentation, but they are literally our enemies, and we are constantly at war with them, fighting them. And we actually had to go down to the Philistines to sharpen our tools, to add that on as well. On 2 occasions, David spared Saul's life, with the second time being the last time Saul came for him, and Saul came after him no more at that point. David hastens to flee into the land of the Philistines and dwells with them a full year and 4 months. If you guys remember, David had gone unto the king of Moab and put his relatives there. He put his relatives there, his father and the rest of his brethren, so that they would dwell safely. And while he's out at the run at this time, the 600 men at the cave of Adullam were the ones that came and joined him, who were also oppressed with Saul. And he is now, out geographically from the land of Israel, dwelling amongst the Philistines, or as the scriptures quote them, the uncircumcised. So it's so bad that David now has to dwell amongst the heathen, being estranged unto his own brethren, due to him being persecuted and being now a fugitive because Saul is out to get him and kill him. While out at this time, David almost completely eradicates the Amalekites, leaving them down to 400 men running with their lives. Now we know, with Kaz's classes and how informative it was, with just how sneaky, just how, privy, mischievous Amalek is, and they have been for so long through the centuries, funding every side of the war since Napoleon, profiting off of war, death, and bloodshed, being tight-knit no matter what part of the earth geographically they're in. It's sad because, to think about it, all Saul had to do was just kill them off and eradicate them in this ancient time. And for not doing so, well, you can see the turning point in the tides of history now within this particular power and group of people that do not give a damn about the rest of mankind. It's been coming out, if you guys have been seeing, Candace Owen talked about them owning the slave ships, which is very much true. 9/11, we've discussed that, who was really behind it, the assassination of JFK. We know about that. Lincoln's assassination was linked to them due to the fact that he wanted greenback currency and wanted the colonies at the time to be free from the control of central banks. Andrew Jackson, you brothers in Florida definitely, I know about him for sure, known as the Indian Killer. One thing I will mention about him is that he was fighting back against central banks that wanted control over the national banks and the monetary system within the colonies at the time, that he fought back against and pushed out charters to even stop them from so much as gaining control and access to the monetary system within the states and colonies at the time, because he didn't want them having control over, the monopoly and the money within the colonies at that particular time. I believe he was president in the 1830s, passing those charters and making those acts and decrees. So time and time again, we see the same thing recurring over and over again, that these people are behind and pulling the strings on. 2% of the world's population, but causing over 90% of all the issues and problems. You guys, of course, everybody's heard about the takeover of Venezuela, but we all know, and being God's people, what's happened time and time again with these events occurring and taking place. And, those of us that know, which of course we do know that the greater reason for taking this is not just for oil and to just profit off financially of taking control over $1.72 trillion worth of Venezuela's oil that carries the biggest oil reserves on the planet. It also stops Russia and China from gaining a foothold over here in the Western Hemisphere and gaining financially, monetarily from it. But you also have to keep in mind of Amalek. You guys know what I want to say, but I'm not going to. There was particularly, I actually saw after Maduro was captured and taken to New York, a particular individual by the name of Nathan Rothschild went on Twitter and said, congratulations, Trump, and typed Venezuela Libre, free Venezuela in Spanish. I find that very interesting of all the people that could talk about what occurred and happened, that a Rothschild could congratulate and thank Trump for doing what he did. Now, guaranteed, in the eyes of the media, it goes both ways. You free the people because Venezuelans are happy and partying right now because he's no longer president, but they don't see the full and bigger picture behind what it is he's actually doing. To give an example, I'll give Haiti for an example. In 1934, a year right before the United States Marines by President Woodrow Wilson sent the troops down there to go into Haiti for control over the nation. What they did was they actually had United States soldiers go into Port-au-Prince, the capital, and I believe at the time take out $500,000 worth of gold out of Haiti's reserves and take them to New York. And then the next year following, what happened? The next year following sent troops that occupied Haiti for nearly 20 years. So again, 2% of the world's population, but causing yet over 90% of the problems, and are the ones responsible for pulling the strings behind things that a lot of people are unaware of. So while everybody's celebrating and while they're happy that Maduro's out the country, they don't even know that I believe it was the female president, I forgot her name, was actually over at the wall in Israel bowing her head with the hat on. So if you really know what's going on, of course, you're able to see and read right between the lines. So Trump is a savior. He took Maduro out of the country, and, the people have freedom from a man that's no longer in power after 25 years of the highest inflation rates possible. 1/3 estimated, according to the population, have had to flee Venezuela because of how hard it is to live there, while also at the same time, the oil that's about to be taken and the finances that's about to be absorbed from $1.72 trillion worth of oil is about to be taken from the country. Venezuela's marching to freedom. Is not. Well, I'm saying from different responses that are going on around social media, because accordingly, leftists and liberals are upset that Trump did this, and Trump went in there and just kidnapped the dictator, and it's not the United States' first time. But you also have a portion inside of that's happy that he's finally out of here. We're finally free, and people were celebrating. People were recording their reactions. A lot of people were crying about it. There were reactions in Miami that people were celebrating, but I did see the protest that, give us our president back, and it's not right for you to do this. Well, I mean, it's kind of already too late. Because they're bringing him up on narco-terrorism charges. And now, according to news outlets, there's a particular prison in Brooklyn that him, Diddy, and the rapper 6ix9ine and the Luigi Mangione that was responsible for killing that healthcare CEO are now all going to be locked up at together. So, again, that kind of ties into everything that's going on and everything that's occurring and taking place. But again, we wouldn't have this problem had, 1 Samuel 15 came to pass and came to happen, with everything occurring and going on. So David nearly eradicated them. If you guys remember, the Amalekites came down, I believe it was Aphek and Judah, and actually took the women and children and all of their spoils and their stuff, and carried them down to Ziklag, which is more south to the inheritance of Judah. I have the map that I'm going to display afterwards. If you guys remember, after David found out, first all the men wanted to kill him. And then after that, the men were so upset and were so enraged at what happened, they nearly spent sundown to sundown, almost completely eradicating Amalek to the point of extinction. And I emphasize that because the scriptures say again here, 400 men were left running with their lives because 400 of them were able to escape on horseback. Saul at this point inquires of the witch at Endor, supposedly all were put away, as it notes, and inquires her to bring up Samuel. The horrendous news Samuel gives Saul is that Israel will desperately lose in battle, and Saul with his sons will join Samuel at their death. The Philistines pitch at Aphek, reject David from joining them, and go up to Jezreel for a final battle with Israel. That's around the northern territory around Issachar. And again, we went over because Yeshua had asked, why was Jonathan also killed in battle? And Jonathan was righteous. We have to remember when Saul had the priest at Nob killed, Saul, he said, ye Benjamites, showing in case in tribalism that may have well been alive after he died, which actually was because he anointed Ishbosheth, one of Saul's other sons, to be king by Abner, who was Saul's uncle, the general over his army. So the reason why Jonathan also died and was put to death was because that may have happened in the Civil War, definitely may have breaking out, because Jonathan would have been next in line to be king after Saul, but Saul and his sons, Jonathan included, dying with him in battle means that line is officially cut off. And showing case in point, as Ishbosheth was anointed king, but then died at the hands of two of his own men, being of the tribe of Benjamin, David had them put to death and had him buried, and then David officially became king. So Samuel's prophecy being true and happening, Saul and his sons die in battle. Israel loses immensely. The Philistines occupy the Israelite cities, and they take spoils of war. Saul's body and his sons' bodies are taken. His head is cut off, and the full corpse is on displayed in the idolic temple of the Philistine gods. Their god was Dagon, a fish god. The men of Jabesh Gilead, you guys should remember this. This was a test question. The Manassites back in 1 Samuel chapter 11. That's where Jabesh Gilead is. Remember what Saul did for them, delivering them from Nahash, the king of the Ammonites, and went down into Philistine territory to get his body down to his sons and bury them accordingly to the law. Their bones were buried under a tree at Jabesh. 2 Samuel begins with the events of what happened in the battle with the Philistines and David finally returning to Israel. Now for the pictures, of course, you get a physical description of things. So in 1 Samuel 17, the Israelite armies and everything happening within the battle, everything taking place, right? So this is the Philistine retreat. This was the valley of Elah. This is the Philistine camp. Gath would be 5 miles this way. Azekah, of course, that way. And this is Saul's camp. And of course, this is where the battle would take place. So they're here, the Philistines, Saul's here, and this would be the valley where it takes place. Remember, it said the Philistines were on one side, the Israelites were on the other, and in the middle here, this is the entire valley. That's 1 Samuel 17. So to kind of get a physical look at the battle, what took place and what happened, this is where everything occurred, and then this is where they retreated to, because they fled before the Israelites after Goliath was dead. He was their champion. After David put him down and took his head off, they realized they lost and they started fleeing. You guys remember this to show just how much of a giant Goliath was. This is Goliath's staff, the waver's beam, according to 1 Samuel 17 and verse 7. This gentleman here looks roughly around 6 feet. This is how big Goliath's spear was. So Goliath at least had to be, I'd say, 8 to no more than 10 feet tall. And that's how big his spear was. And considering how much he had on pertaining to his armor, the coat of mail, if you guys know about ancient European warfare, the coat of mails the British would wear. That way, the metal would shield their skin from arrows and certain weapons that could possibly penetrate the armor. This is what Goliath had on. So this was his spear, and this is how they're giving a real life example of just how tall it was from Goliath just holding it. So when you see the waver's beam, you think about how giant Goliath was. This is how big his spear was. This is what he pretty much, in today's terms, carried into battle. These would be examples of David's sling. This is what he would have used as the 5 smooth stones and slung it at Goliath's head. Remember, it said it was smooth stones. So David knew particularly a particular kind of stone would have definitely penetrated the armor that he had on. And as the scripture says, it sunk in his forehead, pretty much into his skull, penetrating and going through the bone and killing and ultimately killing him. So all the coat of mail and the giant spear he had on, the giant spear he was wielding, this here with all the armor he had was nothing compared to a smooth stone. David definitely flung it full speed and literally killed him, where he then was decapitated by David. The table of showbread. This is a case and example. You see the golden crowns, the golden table vessels, the oil or wine pitchers, the salt bowls, the bowls and the spoons. 2 rows of showbread, 6 per row with golden covers. This is the frankincense. This is where David came into the high priest at 1 Samuel chapter 20 and acquired to take the table of showbread. In Leviticus chapter 23, it outlines that the showbread has to be prepared and made before every Sabbath. It's made from acacia wood overlaid with pure gold, associated with the vessels and tableware are pure gold. Exodus chapter 25 gives a description of the table of showbread. Again, it's supposed to be prepared before every Sabbath. So, to get an example of what the priest was doing and, what was being gone over pertaining to 1 Samuel chapter 20 in the class, this is what the table of showbread case and example would have been. Saul's kingdom. This is important. We know the promises given unto our forefathers that from Israel all the way until I believe it was Zer, the river of Egypt, we would inherit everything and it would be ours. So Israel that you see in the purple there, that's Saul's kingdom. Saul reigned, it's supposed to be 1050 BC, from 1050 to 1010 BC for a total of 40 years. Salakia on the mistypo. Aphek, we read about that. Endor, you guys see right here on the map, that's where the witch was. Jezreel is yellow underneath Philistine territory because this is after the battle where Saul and his sons were killed. And Beth Shan, again, that's where him and his sons were hanged and their heads cut off. You see Shechem, Shiloh, Bethel, Gilgal, where Samuel was, Ramah, Gibeah, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Hebron. You see the 5 Philistine city-states. You have Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gaza. You have Gath and then Ekron. Remember, Goliath was from Gath, Ziklag. You see right here is right around the territory of Judah, which is the southern portion right here. It didn't divide it up by tribe, but to help you guys understand how big Saul's kingdom was. So you see Moab to the east. This is where David had his relatives. You see Edom to the south, and then you see Amalek. All right, so this is more of a clearer map. You see Aram to the front. You see Phoenicia to the northwest up here. And all of the red is the kingdom. So you see Philistia, the Philistines, of course. At times, there were times when there's particular city-states you see here, Beth Shemesh, that's a town in Judah. There are times when we've warred and they've taken some of our cities and we've conquered them and gotten them back. You see Moab here and Ammon to the east. Again, Edom and Amalek to the south. Edom and Amalek is literally south to Judah. Okay. So, we'll go back. So again, this entire red here is where Saul's kingdom was at this particular time. We know he went to war with Nahash, the king of the Ammonites, over here to the east. Remember the children of Jabesh Gilead, which would be the Manassites, he went to battle with. He saved them, delivered them. Then you see the rest of the places on the map here. I can't zoom in. Where is Judah, Hebron? You see all the particular places as well David escaped to, remember, in the land of the Philistines. Again, you see Ziklag here. That's literally right around Judah. When David was dwelling amongst the Philistines, he came down here to reconquer everything that Amalekites had taken. And then, of course, they fled into their land. It was too late at that point. You see Esau here. Again, Moab and Ammon to the east. Aram to the north, and then Phoenicia to the northwest. Damascus right there on the map as well. So the end of Saul, Saul's forces retreat. Remember, the battle was at Jezreel. The Philistines attack. You see cross through Megiddo at Shunem. Endor, that's where he consults the medium, the witch again. And then you see up here, Israel's camp, the Philistines advance here. Mount Gilboa, where him and his sons died at, and then Jabesh Gilead over to the east. Again, that's Manassite territory. And it kind of explained it numerically. So on the map, again, you have number one, the Philistines muster their forces at Aphek and advance to Shunem. Number two, the Israelites set up camp at Jezreel, and the night before the battle, Saul consults a medium at Endor. That's why Samuel said, tomorrow you and your sons will join me. Receive the bad news. He didn't utterly slay the Amalekites. And if you guys remember 1 Samuel chapter 13, he tried to offer up sacrifice, which only someone of the Levitical line of Aaron is only capable of doing. He sent an heir doing that. Number three, the battle begins and many Israelites retreat up the slopes of Gilboa. There, Saul and his sons are killed. Number four, the bodies of Saul and his sons are hung on the walls of Beth-shan. Again, that's why on the other map prior, it said that Beth-shan was also Israelite territory, because after this battle, it took many of the spoils and cities after defeating the Israelite army. Beth-shan would be right here. Mount Gilboa, where his sons were slain and killed at. And then number five, the men of Jabesh Gilead traveled through the night to recover the bodies of Saul and his sons. They used discretion. They didn't do it during the day. Perhaps as repayment for Saul's rescue of the town from the Ammonites years earlier. So they remember what he did, and they took him and his sons down. So that is the recollection of 1 Samuel. So what we have to understand is that, again, this history is important, and we are going to get back into 2 Samuel. What I want to know is that from the importance and the testing of 1 Samuel, does everyone remember and have good knowledge pretty much of the events of what occurred in 1 Samuel? If you guys could put Khan or La'a in the chat and what you feel, what you remember, what you know. Does everyone, to the best of their ability, have good knowledge about what occurred and what happened in 1 Samuel and why it's important? Again, it's right after the judges period when the Lord raised us up judges. Then you have Eli, and you also have Samuel as the last and final judges before Samuel anoints Saul and ushers in the monarchy period. We know Saul was in position as king, but really was supposed to be a military commander to deliver us against our enemies. And then, we have the story unfolding out from then and there and everything that's occurred and take place. All right, see Khan's in the chat. But I would still like to reread it for a refresher. Absolutely, sis. That's also what this Makaya, that's what this presentation was for as well, just so we have the what occurred, what are the main events and stuff like that, that took place, and then you have the the presentation to see geographically where things happen, the description of things. You have the slingshot David used, Saul's Goliath's spear, the waver's beam, and you have those things to kind of see and depict what occurred and took place so that you're able to understand the events unfolding and what would happen. So that's important because as teachers, we have to know these things, and those of you that are parents, you have to be able to explain this to your children, your loved ones, even build on it with each other, and really have these discussions because our history is very important. You don't read and go into the New Testament without bringing up the origins and the predecessor of Yahawashi and who he's the son of. Yahawashi, they constantly called him the son of David. We know Solomon is Yahawashi, but he's literally the son of David because he comes and is of and from that line. If you guys remember when Christ was being crucified, they put the title on him, King of the Jews, in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. And that's important because, the Pharisees then came and said, well, change the title because, people are going to say this guy was king, but they're right to call him king because he's the son of David. That's why, the house of your fathers is emphasized, and it's important because you are who your father is, because the father plants the seed, and whatever the seed is the fruit that it will come out to be. So Yahawashi being constantly referenced as the son of David, well, that's important because we know after the order of Melchizedek, he is a priest, which is, in the simplest terms, an intercessor, and more importantly, he's a king. So he's a king and a priest, a king priest after that order, literally because he's our intercessor. He's one that mediates and acted on our behalf, being our sacrifice, because he is our Passover, and he's also king because he's a descendant of the son of David. So he has rights and claims to that. The scriptures say King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Well, he's over above everyone and everything because the Father put everyone and everything underneath his feet, with the Father as his only authority. So we know and understand that when we're reading this within the New Testament, we'll understand it calls Yahawashi a king because he's of the house of David, which would indeed line up with Hebrews 7:14. It is evident our Lord sprang out of Judah, meaning it's obvious he's of the kingly tribe of Judah, being of the line of David. So that's important to understand and keep in mind, as we've gone into the story. So I want, again, everyone to understand, the overview of 1 Samuel, why it's so important. That's the final era of the last two judges being Eli and Samuel. He ushers in the monarchy period, and the kingship of the nation of Israel begins from here. I will say and give a heads up that Saul, David, and Solomon reigning for 40 years makes the chronological timeline of events easier because the three of them reigned for 40 years. And afterwards, when the kingdom splits, later on down the road and into the future, that's going to have to be something carefully gone into and, meticulously taught, because it's not easy to, and this year, it was this year, and that year was that year. Now the kingdom split where we have records of both sides being recorded, and we have to pay attention more in tunely with the events occurring and going on, because now we have to pay attention to this side and that side, and they're split, not getting along, and we're no longer one people. And we also have to remember now it's the kingdom of Judah and it's the kingdom of Israel. So now that we're split, now that we're no longer one, well, we're no longer brethren. As Zechariah says, he cut the brotherhood from Judah and from Israel. All right. So with that being said, any more questions, comments, concerns anyone has, anything anyone wants to add, inquire about, or ask about? Again, the overview of 1 Samuel. Rewatch the class for the presentation and breakdown, the pictures and the geography, so that you're able to see what's going on, and you're able to pay attention closely, that you are aware of your history and you know how to properly dissect and have good knowledge on the book of 1 Samuel. right. Seems everyone is all set. All right. All right. I madrim upon your makwadam. This is Psalm chapter 3. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, there is no help for him in God. But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter up of mine head. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. I laid me down and slept. I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of the 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, save me, O God, for thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessing is upon thy people. In the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, the Wadah Yad, Amen.